And good morning, Hoosier Nation, and welcome to a victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Army. You know what? What a tough game that was. What a tough fight that was. What a game that we didn't expect to talk about like we are talking about this game. I'm your host, Chad Schwarzkopf. Martha on the IR list this morning, not feeling the greatest. Don't blame her after watching that game too much, but hopefully Martha should be back with us again on Friday when we do Morning After Right State. This is a game that I kind of look at and I see as kind of being the true speak of the mission statement of this show, built for this mission statement, the chance to kind of sleep on a performance like this and try to hopefully see it clearer, see it in a different way. And I look at this game and I think about it this morning, and yes, there were a lot of alarming things. There were a lot of things that can't go this way, that are going the way that we didn't expect them to go for this team at this point of the year. We expect a little bit of growing pains. We know that this is such a new roster, such a different type of team, and a young team, and not many veterans in there to teach them, but the ceiling continues to be high for this team. And while I do say, and while we do kind of break down on this show a lot of the rough things in this game, to me, I will always be the optimist, and I will always kind of look at a game like this and be thankful that it's so early in the season, because it's all fixable. It's things that are fixable. It's the defensive miscues, the offensive standing around and not moving, the turnovers, the lack of three takes, and add that in with the dash of the standard IU curse of having an opponent player that gets hot that normally doesn't get hot and doesn't hit shots like they do, but they somehow do against you in a game. But again, a win is a win, and I understand that, but this is not the type of game you wanted it to be. These are the games that you were supposed to be able to use to allow the starters to get a little bit of rhythm, to try some things, get into sets, and build a comfortable lead, and then allow you to sit them, rest them, get in some bench players and see some high performance numbers and some good reps for the second unit guys. And that was not a case in this game. It shows that this is a team that is still trying to figure out a lot of the answers to a lot of those questions. And X said in the post-game conference that he blames preparation leading into this. And maybe that is the case. Again, from what I just said, you expected this game to be that kind of game, and maybe the team saw it that way too. Maybe the team did not take it as serious as they needed to as well, not preparing in the way, thinking they could just coast through this game. And Army came in, tip of the hat to them, and played really hard, played with that aggressiveness and that nothing to lose type of scenario for themselves. And it proved to hit Indiana on our butts. And coach, obviously, I believe, saw the first unit not playing hard at the beginning, as evidenced by the second unit getting a considerable run there in the first half. And I think he was hoping with the long run that they got in that first half to see someone get going and see a spark and see who was going to step up for this team. And the sad thing is, in that second unit, we still haven't found who is that scoring person going to be. We're still looking for CJ to find his leggings again. And just a shambles for that. I mean, he ran for it for a while. And luckily, at the end of the first half, starters got back in, and Xavier Johnson scoring 15 points towards the end of that first half is kind of what kept Indiana in it. And then the second half, obviously a scary moment when X goes down. Looks like he's grabbing his calf and everything. And then when they come back from commercial, you see Tim out there stretching his calf, and he goes into the tunnel, maybe gets a little bit of stretching in the locker room, but comes back out and plays in the second half. So thank goodness nothing came of that. But obviously a concerning issue there for X for a minute, because he's one of our only bright spots right now, and is our leader. And I honestly also want to call him out to be a little bit more of a leader, maybe. You could see there was one shot, thank goodness they showed it, because obviously us at home, we're kind of to the mercy of whatever camera angles or whatever we can see from the telecast. Without being there, we can't really tell. But from what I see in these games, is I've struggled to see where the leadership's coming from in this team to snap them out of that. And I see X is obviously trying to. They showed that one shot of him really frustrated with the team, hollering at guys on the offensive end. And that's evident that this team is struggling to find their offense. And it comes with just not cutting hard, not getting into the lane when they need to, not using those picks nearly the way they need to. And again, I say all these things with the idea that I am a person that believes they can fix these things, and there's plenty of time to fix those things, and there is. But they need to have attention to these things. They need to find their offensive identity. They need to be able to get different players going. And one of the main players that still has yet to find that proper run and go is McKenzie. McKenzie just finishes with 2 points, 1 for 2 from the field. Just an offensive performance that we ran, I believe, if I remember correctly, one set for him to try to get him the ball. And that's his one made shot. His other shot was one that he tried to produce for himself on a little pull-up fadeaway kind of situation at the elbow, and didn't make that. But otherwise, we just have him standing. We need to find stuff for him. We need to drive and kick to him. We need to get him going. Where you see a lot of players, defense leads to offense for him, it may be the other way for McKenzie. We may need to get him going offensively to ramp up that intensity on the defensive end. And then that defensive end is on him too. He needs to find his way on that defensive end, because it continues to be a problem for him and a struggle for him to keep with his man, to talk through the switches. And that's for the team across the board. They do struggle finding a way to talk, to communicate through the switches. Even our veteran players. There was a moment where you had Ware and Xavier Johnson, a simple little screen, and Xavier kind of stuck with the screen, and Ware shielded off as if the player was going to drive, and the player elevates and hits a three. So little miscues like that are not good, and can be are going to be fixed, can be fixed. Will happen when these guys get a little bit more gelled together and figure things out. But this is the struggle with this nail slot rim defense that Coach Woodson wants to focus this team on. And again, without getting too deep into it, and I'm not a basketball coach at heart, so I'm not going to be able to go too deep into it. But that nail slot rim is predicated on the fact that if you are defending a guy on the outside and you are off the ball, your man is off the ball, and the other team is coming around, you need to help off and avoid the opponents from driving. You need to deny the drive. It is one that is going to lead to a little bit of three-point shots, but it's predicated on the idea that stopping the simpler two and relying on a few threes to skip through is a higher percentage chance that a team can take. And while I agree with that, and that makes sense, but we're just helping off way too much. And it's causing IU to get into tough recovery and rotation issues. Because then if, say, X is guarding his man and he's coming off a screen around the corner, and McKenzie's other man is at the other corner, and he needs to sag off and help deny that drive, and then ball gets kicked to his man. The other player next to McKenzie has to rotate to McKenzie's player to tag him to avoid him from shooting. But the issue is, and McKenzie isn't in position to recover, or he's sagging off too much at that point. And again, I'm picking on McKenzie, but you can pretty much say any player on this team with these issues. And it just needs to be fixed. And I think it comes with reps. It comes with game film. And boy, oh boy, does this coaching staff have game film to show now. They've got plenty to let this team know and hopefully learn from where these issues are coming and where they can figure things out. Nick, I see that. Do you think with our length we can zone a little bit better versus better teams? I don't know. I don't know about doing a zone. Yes, the length is something that is a good thing for the zone. That's why Syracuse had all their success in the past and relative recent times, because they went for those athletic long guys to avoid those passing lanes and everything that the zone denies. I think this is equally a defensive scheme that benefits from that length as well. It just has to be executed in the right way. And right now, execution is the issue on the defensive side. Now, the offensive side is not clicking, and that just kind of compounds the whole situation. So it's tough to see that. Now, one thing I will say coming from this game, at least to start talking and shifting a little bit to some positives, one of the questions we always had coming into this season was what Ware's motor is going to be like. That was something that was spoken on in Oregon's, and after 2 sampling sizes, I'm going to say there's no issue on that. I really like his motor. He finished with the top score of this team with 20 points, 9 for 11 from the field. Didn't get out and shoot a 3. Again, I want him to get out there and at least take 2 per game. I would like to see from him 2 for 3 from the field, from the free throw line. Finished with just 2 turnovers, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 assist. I'd like to see, if I'm nitpicking on his numbers, obviously turnovers are going to happen. I'd like to maybe see those assists up. That's more predicated on Indiana's offense figuring themselves out, and we need to play inside out. We need to move the ball around, get him going in those pick and rolls, and we saw what it can be in the second half when Malik and Ware got going, and they were kind of really the bright spots in the second half and the leading scorers in that second half for IU, because Army had no answer for their size and athleticism underneath, and they attempted to bring the double team a time or two, and it shows the ammo that we have underneath, where that one play where Malik got double teamed, all that he had to do was just throw it near the rim, and you've got Ware that can go get it and throw it in the basket for you at any time. So I do like those guys playing together, and I think those types of hookups and those types of movements are going to become more and more, because they're just going to feel for where each other are, and that chemistry is going to build. But there just needs to be that chemistry overall. And I think one thing that's not going to build from the chemistry that I lay on the coaching staff is they're going to have to run things for McKenzie. They're going to have to make an assertive effort to get him going on offense, to find some offense for him, and to get him moving along. Because he tried to find it for himself on that one play, like I said, but he didn't find it. Another player that I'm going to be hard on is Trey Galloway. And he had moments like he has had before, but he needs to make those moments more frequent. And I need to see some leadership. I need to see him driving and kicking a lot more. He finished with 3 assists, the second total, just behind Malik and Xavier, both had 5 assists. So I like to see those numbers, but I want to see Trey up there in those numbers. He's a crafty guy. He's a fast guy. He can get out and he can get into the lane, and he makes good decisions when he kicks it out. And that is something that can get McKenzie going as well. If he drives and he can find McKenzie on the outside, for McKenzie to either make the decision, use his basketball IQ and his God-given skills at that point to either shoot the three or fake and drive, is just something that is going to be there for this team if they can find it. And hopefully they can find it. But I would like to see more out of him. I would like to see him shooting more threes. And speaking of that, let's kind of move over looking at stats now. That's something that we've talked about. And if you listen to Assembly Calls post game or any shows that they talk about how this team needs to take more threes, and we need to be a higher volume three team. And I agree with that. I agree with that to a degree. And I think there's going to be games, however, where those numbers are going to be skewed. And I think the numbers maybe on this game were skewed slightly in that realm because we couldn't get things going from our wings and our guards. And we had to, at that point, when the offense couldn't find any rhythm, at least get some makes and try to force some rhythm and some just momentum overall on the offensive side by going underneath to our big guys. So that's going to limit the amount of three takes we have. And I mean, if you build on that going inside and creating things for yourself, that should, and in the future will, lead to more three opportunities. Teams are going to sag in on those guys and going to leave guys open on the outside. And the big guys need to be able to recognize that and see that and find those guys. So obviously the other issues was the turnovers. A lot of unforced turnovers. Gabe had one where he passed the ball to the feet of Malik. Just those need to clean up. 18 is not a number you want to see. I believe last year the coaching staff and everyone was going to run when they had over a certain amount of turnovers, and they should be running a lot today because those numbers are unexcusable. Those numbers shouldn't be. So I hopefully those things will get cleaned up. I say all those negatives, and I am a person. I'm sorry if you aren't. I understand you may not be. The fan base is very split at this point with who is talking doom and gloom and who is staying optimistic. And I'm going to stay optimistic. And I'm going to hope that this team can figure it out and can turn it around. And we don't have much time to do that. This team has got to find what they can because the schedule is not going to get easier anytime soon. The schedule is going to turn around real quick, and we're going to find ourselves in New York next week against a UConn team that is going to capitalize on these types of mistakes and these types of issues. Now, hopefully, again, with low points, hopefully come high points. Wright State is coming up on Thursday at 7 p.m. They're a better team than Army on paper. It's a team that if we come out like we did and we play like we did in this game, the win's going to be harder to come about. And it's not going to be a W. It's going to be a disappointing day if this kind of performance continues. But I will continue to be hopeful that guys can get going. Hope that we can run some offense and get Ware to continue his upward momentum that he is doing. Malik to continue what he is doing because I like what he is doing. He just needs to clean up some of his defense, get McKenzie some rhythm on offense, find some more leadership from our two captains to get these guys going, that the coaching staff can use these next couple of days to go through the film and show where we can improve and where things can get better without damaging the morale of this team too much. Because this is a team that if they're having fun and they're doing good things can continue. And again, I'm happy they figured a way to gut out a win in this, but it shouldn't have been a game where we had to get out a win. And now we can just use this game as game tape, learn from it, and hope to never see it again. So that's going to do it, guys, for this edition of Hoosier Morning After. Thanks for being with me. Going to do a short one just because it's one we just need to put in the rear view, guys. We need to get out of this game and move on to the next. So we'll be back again. Martha will hopefully be feeling better for us, but we'll see you Friday morning after the Wright State game. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. There you can find out more information about the show, when we're going to go live. And we'll be back again, like I said, Friday morning. So hope to see you guys then. Thanks for being with us. Until then, go out there, have yourself a wonderful day. And as always, let's go Hoosiers.